welcome to our webinar on taking your fitness to the next level. Our speaker to this month is Amy Stafford, and she is the president of Body and Soul Fitness. I have been a Body and Soul Fitness instructor for, I don't know, 4 years, I think now. And so I have know Amy very well. And one of the great things about Body and Soul Fitness is our national director, Vicki Heath, is also a very active and was actually a Body and Soul instructor before First Place. So she's been involved in it a long time. And we do a lot of things jointly together, but we are two separate organizations. We have a hard time explaining that to people sometimes, but we are both completely sold out for Jesus. And we are here today to take fitness to the next level. Amy lives in Williamsburg, Virginia with her husband, Steve. They have a daughter, Jordan, who is getting married in December. We discovered yesterday that both of our kids, my son, her daughter, are getting married this December on the 14th, which happens to be in 33 days, I believe, just counting down. So that's pretty exciting. We both have that big thing going on. But most importantly, Amy is passionate about serving the Lord and using the instrument of exercise and wellness and considers it her great privilege to encourage others. And I have learned so much from her. She knows so much about our bodies. It's amazing. So without further ado, let me turn it over to Amy Stafford.
Helen, thank you very, very much. It was great to hear that. Almost felt like we were doing the weather, on the news channel. So you're very good at that. So if you ever need a backup to your career with First Place for Health, I think you could totally be the weather announcer. I am in Williamsburg, and I'm really glad it's only 61. That is as cold as I really want it ever to be. So you guys that are in the snowy lands, more power to you. I'm ready for it to be 85 and sunny in Hawaii right now. But like Helen said, I am Amy Stafford. I'm the president of Body and Soul Fitness. I love the human body. I love Jesus. I think God is amazing in that He could have made us all look and sound and be the same person and be able to do the same things, and it would be so boring. But instead, He made us all different with different giftings and different abilities, and we get to love on each other and support each other in different ways. So I love that. So Helen, thank you, and thank you to First Place for Health for inviting me to be here again. I do love to talk about fitness, and I love tying it to Scripture. I love just putting all that together. At Body and Soul, we say that we are where faith and fitness meet, and that is certainly true. We use the Scriptures to keep us on track. We use Christian music to exercise to. We use the Bible studies written and produced by the First Place for Health organization. So we really are partners in this thing called health. And so I love that I'm doing what's part 3 in the First Place for Health webinar series on fitness for the year of 2019. And so your first one was on metabolic syndrome, I understand, and the next one was getting started with fitness. And so now as we come toward the end of the calendar year, I get to talk to you a little bit about taking it to the next level. So depending on where you might be on that spectrum tonight, wherever you are in the world, I'm hoping that this is something you can either apply right now, or it's going to spur you on to that next step in your spiritual and physical fitness life. And so with that foundation, I wanted to just discuss the next progression in our physical fitness. So I'll be making some assumptions, but I'm a basics kind of girl. You'll learn about me pretty quickly. I love to just live in the basics and then build on that foundation. So we won't be flying really high today, but we'll be digging in deep to some different principles of physical fitness. And we're going to talk about components of exercise. So I wanted to start out, I know Helen's got some different PowerPoint slides that she'll be putting up sometime, just so you're not stuck looking at me the whole time. And the first one really talks about, it's probably a quotation you've heard before, but that the first step of every journey is the hardest. And so being part 3 in this year of First Place for Health's fitness, really focusing on the fitness this year, I think I consider you all as the audience that you've achieved that milestone, that first step into fitness, spiritual and physical fitness, you've likely taken already. So I want to commend you. Because like the quote says, the first step of every journey really is the hardest. We've just got to get moving in the right direction. And so now that you've achieved that milestone, now let's build a well-balanced, interesting trip of a lifetime that produces lasting memories and lasting results. And so you'll hear me talk a lot about just about lifestyle. So whether it's your quiet time with First Place for Health and you get into that habit of meeting with the Lord daily, whether it's morning or evening or several times during the week. Physical fitness is the same in that it's something that we need to do again and again, and we need to find out what those things are that we like. Sometimes we still have to do things we don't love, but we need to mix that in with stuff that we really do love, that God has just given us a love for. And so what I'd like to do first is have Helen poll us, because I just kind of wonder who's out there. So Helen, can you tell us about the poll that you want us to click into?
The first question is, we just want to know, what do you do? What do you do currently for fitness? What do you currently do for fitness? And you can check all that apply. So all the different ones that you want, they show, okay, 70% of the people are doing cardio. 52% of the people said they're also, half of us are doing strength training, half of us are doing flexibility, and 30% are doing balance. And then 16% of the people here are, I'm thinking about what to do. They're here to get inspired, Amy. So let's take it, everybody, to the next level. If you're not doing anything, your next level is to do something. So here we go.
Helen, thank you. You guys that are listening and watching, I am so excited. I jotted down those numbers. So about 70% doing cardio, half strength training, half flexibility, about a third doing balance, and 16%, I love your honesty, that you're kind of trying to figure it out. We're all doing that. No matter what level we're starting today, we're all considering what that next step is for us, whether it's spiritual, following God's call into something new, something different, or something physical, and what that next step is. So I am thrilled for the 16%. So you all, I expected most to be doing cardio, so that's exactly right, because a lot of us start, we didn't ask you what you were doing, but a lot of us that are new to fitness will start with walking, mainly because it's readily available, right? You can do it almost anywhere, whether it's on a treadmill inside because you're in one of those places tonight that it's snowing, or you're outside walking, you're walking your dog, you're walking with a baby stroller, but it's readily available. You can do it almost anywhere. It requires no special talent. So I don't know if that speaks to anybody. I always have people in my group fitness class that says they're totally uncoordinated and they really just can't do that, and they do great, but they feel like, oh, it requires a special talent. So walking does not require special talent, and it requires no equipment, though of course you can always add different things and change it up, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes. But we expected, when Helen and I were processing our webinar content for tonight, we expected that most would be doing cardio, so you all passed on that. That's 70%. Tonight we'll talk about 5 different components, and they're in no particular order because they're all very, very important. There's not necessarily one more important than another. And so the 5 are cardiovascular exercise, strength training, balance, coordination, flexibility. All those are important for different reasons, but the nice thing is we'll talk about kind of in the meat of our meeting tonight how to put some of those together, because I don't know about you, but I know Helen and I are both pretty busy just with lives and work and kids getting married on the same day. Who knew? But they're not marrying each other, but they're getting married the same day, which is pretty cool. But all the components are important. And for some people I hear, cardio seems something they're more comfortable with because they can just walk, or they can go out and jog and walk, or get on a treadmill, or take a group fitness class. The strength training, sometimes I actually hear them say it's scary. And I want to tell you it's not scary, but it does take a little bit of learning. And so that's part of the reason I get to be here with you tonight. So I want to encourage you that if that speaks to you about strength training, or even another component such as balance training or coordination in particular, if those things sound scary, really commit to the Lord that you're going to conquer that fear. And so we're going to spend a little more time on strength training tonight, which about half of you all here with us tonight are already participating in. So we're going to talk about the next level and how you can take that up as well. But I want to challenge you to work to conquer that fear, because in strength training particularly, the more muscle we have, the higher our metabolic rate is. And so getting it back to basics, your metabolic rate is basically, our body is a machine. It's going to burn all sorts of different things, whether it's food and fats and carbohydrates and proteins. It's going to burn at a certain metabolic rate that God gave us. But we can make the most of it, or we can slow it down and it becomes sluggish. And so that has to do with our activity, what our body makeup is. So if we strength training a little bit more, get a little more muscle mass, we're going to burn more calories. And so that machine is just going to function at a slightly higher rate. For anybody out there that's into cars, it means your engine's revved a little bit more, right? It's just revved up. And so you're burning more fuel than you would otherwise. So there are ways to make the most of that. And so we're going to spend a little extra time on strength training. But I'm glad to hear that so many of you are doing cardiovascular exercise. I'll also talk about that in a few minutes, just ways you can mix that up so that you're always making the most of your time when you're in the gym or working out in a group or individually at home. So I want to help you make the most of the time, because again, we all have a lot of things to fit into a 24-hour day. So a lot of this comes into cross training. And so cross training, by definition, it could be being cross trained with a skill at work or a role in your work. It could also be engaging in different multiple sports training. For a triathlon, you're going to multitask, you're going to cross train. So you're going to train in swimming as well as running as well as biking. And so that's cross training. Something I wanted to drive home with us today was that WebMD has been quoted as saying that cross training is actually the backbone of any well-developed exercise program. And so you want that to be a part of your program, whether you're working out with a trainer or in a group fitness class with Body and Soul, or maybe your small group in your First Place for Health Bible study, you are getting together and doing some exercise, which is fantastic, or if you're doing it on your own. So it's important that we cross train, and we're going to talk about why that is. So I've got a slide that's got a lot of different colors on it that I'm going to ask Helen to click up, and it's going to have 5 different categories about basically the benefits of cross training and why cross training and exercise variation is so important. And we're just going to unpack those together. The first one you see there is reduce the risk of injury by sharing the love. Anybody in Solars out there, they know that sharing the love means you're really feeling that muscular burn, and we're working really hard. So I tend to call that love. So that's my language right there. But we've discovered that in cross training and varying our exercise, we're able to spread the amount of stress on a joint or on a muscle. You can spread that over a couple different joints and muscles so that you're able to work out more frequently and for longer duration. So if you think through those more frequently, so we're revving that engine more frequently, 5 days a week instead of 3 maybe, and for longer durations, which means we're burning more calories because we're doing it for a greater amount of time. And we're able to do that without excessively overloading particular areas of the body. So for anybody out there that's thinking, ooh, my knees, I can't do a whole lot for a long time, that's fine. We all have different things we're working around. So your cross training might allow you to reduce the risk of injury to your knees while you are instead working the upper body one day. So we'll talk about some ideas for that. But that's a big reason to cross train. We're able to reduce the risk of injury. The second one there that you see is greater rest and recovery. So we're being more efficient with our exercise, more efficient with the reps and our body parts and things. So we're able to vary exercises and the components, changing the intensity level and duration. So we're able to rest more, almost because we have multitasks. So any of the females out there, we know that we multitask a lot, right? So we have a lot to do. So we multitask and get more done in a shorter amount of time. So when we cross train, we're actually working even more efficiently which gives us a greater time to be able to rest and recover between exercise days or exercise bouts. The third one there is enhanced weight loss, and that comes from, again, you're revving that motor, you're getting more efficient exercise. So we are working our body more efficiently, so we have greater weight loss. So generally, exercisers that cross train can engage in longer and or more intense workouts when we vary the exercise component. So instead of focusing on cardio, 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 and really beating our bodies, we can do coordination and stability training and balance one day, and then strength training on the next day, and then come back to cardio, and then maybe have strength training and then a balance day after that. So we're able to engage in those different workouts with more intentionality, if you will, and that tends to enhance our weight loss. The next one is improved total fitness, and that speaks to most all of us. You may be training for an event like a triathlon or a marathon or a 5K running with, somebody in your family, and that's great. For a lot of us, we're just looking to be overall healthy. We are fighting some natural aging that happens. We are overcoming an injury maybe, or we've decided to completely change our physical lifestyle and be able to cross train and be more active. So regardless of what those goals are, cross training just feeds into that perfect equation of an improved physical fitness level for just a total better lifestyle, right? A healthier lifestyle. So it promotes that well-balanced overall fitness level. And then finally, enhanced exercise adherence. And we're going to live here just a moment, because this is where some of us really struggle. You join a group fitness class and you're really excited, and you do it for a few weeks, and then maybe your work schedule is too busy, you can't get back, or maybe you have created an injury, or the instructor quit teaching, or just something happened and you weren't able to stick with that exercise regimen. That's one of the toughest parts of the physical fitness journey, is to stick with it, right? And so I'm a fitness instructor, and so I think of that as, keeping my students engaged and always in the classroom and excited about coming to class when they probably had a better offer to go out for girls' night for dinner or something. So we call that exercise adherence. But for those of us in the meeting tonight, we want to be healthy. We want to take that physical fitness level where we started a few months ago. We're sticking with it, and we're so proud of you for sticking with it. We need to continue that good habit and adhere to that exercise program so that we are able to go to the next level, whatever that next level is, and that's a goal that you'll set for yourself. So studies are showing that cross training is really a safe way to add variety to your program. It keeps it interesting, makes you more likely to stick with it. You find those things that you really love to do. And I mentioned again earlier that we don't love it all, but we know it's all good for us. So if you love cardio and you love strength training, but you don't really love the coordination part, just cross train and get that coordination part in there, maybe just once a week at the beginning, where you feel like, okay, I'm willing to do it once a week, but that's it. Hopefully you'll start to get better at it, and then you begin doing it a little bit more. And so that's sort of what cross training looks like for us as exercisers. It can look any way you want it to, but looking at those five different points on that slide, hopefully there are certain things that you were able to maybe jot down. Oh, that's kind of easy for me, I get that, but oh, when she said that about adherence, she's probably right. I don't do the balance because I don't like it. My balance isn't so good because I'm not training. It's a vicious cycle. And so something I wanted to speak to real quick is that success, in my opinion, success comes in the word again. We have to be willing to do something again. Whether it's in your nutrition life, your healthy lifestyle, you choose a healthy meal, you need to do that again, right? The next day, or maybe the next meal. And so you need to do that again. Exercise is the same way. It's a decision we make every day to choose the healthier path. And so we want to find those activities that we're willing to do and do again. right? And varying it for the cross training will help us mentally want to do it again, because nobody wants to do the same thing over and over and over because it gets very dull, right? So success really does come in again. And so what I wanted Helen to do was another poll, because I think it really matters with adherence that perhaps what works for you? Do you have a buddy? Do you have a workout buddy? Do you have somebody that holds you accountable to do that? Did you join a class and an instructor like me is going to call you and say, we missed you in class today. Are you okay? So I'm kind of curious. Helen, introduce that poll.
So who works out with you? On my own at home is 42%. Then I attend a group fitness class at 28%. And then 12%, I have a workout buddy. 7% on my own at the gym. And then 11%, I'm here to learn. So there you go. So on my own at home is 42%. Got a lot of those people. So, and I used to do that. So I understand that.
Can I just tell you, the 42% who work out at home, I applaud you. And I tell people that all the time. I have to tell you, I love being a group fitness instructor. And yet, there are many times I go to class that I think, boy, if I was not teaching, if they weren't expecting me to be there, I probably wouldn't go tonight because it's dark outside. I'm tired. Who knows? I'm just feeling lazy. It was a tough day, whatever, excuse after excuse. So can I just applaud and commend those 42% that you do it alone? I just can't even tell you. That is very exciting to me, and I don't know how you do it. So I admire you completely. I'm loving that a quarter of us are in a group fitness class, because that's my love, because I tend to work out harder in a group. I'm an extrovert, if you can imagine. So I love being with people, and that's what I need to be able to do that. So some of you guys are at the gym, some of you are at home, some of you are kind of trying to figure out what that activity level should look like. I think that's awesome. So I hope you get some tools tonight to kind of know where that next step and that next level is going to be for you. And to be encouraged that what you decide tonight, for those of you that are figuring it out, you might do for 30 days, you might do it for 90 days, and you might find, oh, I kind of want it to look a little different now, kind of like Helen. She started out alone and with her husband and doing some walking and things, and then she felt more confident to try something new. So more than likely, you're going to change your mind and feel more comfortable, maybe discover things you didn't even know you would love. So you're going to automatically be cross training as you figure it out. So I'm always, even though I love group fitness, I love lots of different kinds of group fitness, because I like to keep that intensity changing and the music sounding different and things like that. So I hope that that's an encouragement to everybody out there. I do want to consider our components. So remember, we keep coming back to the big components of physical fitness, which are cardiovascular exercise, strength training, balance, coordination, and flexibility, in no particular order. But I do want to start with cardio and just give you a couple ideas about how to cross train, whether you're working out at the gym or working out at home or just beginning and trying to figure out what that might look like for you. But the big key is to vary the intensity. And that is completely up to you. One good thing about physical fitness is really the sky's the limit. The downfall to physical fitness, the sky's the limit. So sometimes it can be overwhelming with all the different ways that you could do things. So I'm going to try to keep it pretty simple here with you. Let me get my notes so I'm track with you. So as you vary intensity, think of maybe an activity, the last exercise activity you did. So you maybe went swimming this morning, or maybe you went for a walk this afternoon. So apply that to what you just did. You could vary that intensity per workout and from workout to workout. So if you did whatever activity you did today to music, you might choose that activity to a new playlist tomorrow that has a different beat per minute or maybe a different style, so that either you maybe go further and slower or faster and not so far. I hope that makes sense. You can adjust the intensity of it. You could adjust the length of time or how fast you do that exercise if it's cardiovascular. So run fast, run slow, jog, walk, race walk. you know, bicycle up a hill, I'm going to skip down in my outline. You could adjust the exertion level, which means maybe today if you rode a bicycle on a flat, basically a flat surface, and went a long way because you had more time, maybe the next time you bike on, say 2 days from now, because tomorrow you're going to do something different, when you go back to your cardio that next day, you might choose a hilly route. I'm from the South, it's hilly. So you're hilly up and down the hills. And so you might go not as far because it's a lot harder. Well, that's great cross training variation for your cardiovascular system. You could also, in the industry, we talk a lot about interval training. So there's high intensity interval training, which means, you know, Tabata style. Some of you are all familiar with that. You do something just as hard as you can for a short amount of time, maybe 30 seconds, and then you recover for 10, and then you do that again. And so your heart rate kind of goes up and recovers. The studies are out there showing some very good results, even in a moderate intensity interval training style. So for anybody that feels like, oh, high intensity, I kind of see you jumping rope as fast as you can, you know, and I can't do that. Studies are showing that even that moderate level, so maybe you just run in place at a pace that feels fast to you, but it might be moderate to somebody else, but that's what works for you. You could do that same variation of the cardio intensity. Another way to vary your cardio is through the style. So I talked about that a minute ago. It could be walking on one day and jogging on another with a swim day in between. Or if you like to dance, add a dance cardio routine to your cardiovascular exercise. So just think through your 7 days, perhaps set a goal of how many days in that 7 you want to do cardiovascular exercise, and make sure that you have enough ideas that maybe you only do the same cardio exercise twice in that week. So I'd like you to challenge you. Maybe if you set a goal of 4 cardio workouts, maybe in the next 7 days, maybe make 2 of those, whatever that cardio that you're more comfortable doing, that maybe you did just today. And then in between those, do something that you haven't done before that still gets your heart rate up. Or choose one of those variations that I've talked about. Instead of doing a long straight run or a walk or bicycle, choose that hilly option on that day. So that would still count as one of those 4 cardios, but it's going to be varied. And so that's where it really, really pays off. It gets that engine revved so that you're burning more calories more efficiently, and your body will begin to make those physiological changes that we're looking for. Not everybody's looking to lose weight. But most of us are looking to keep our functional fitness level up. And so that's a way that we do that. We stay at a good, healthy weight, working out regularly, and working on all these different components. So we've covered the first one, which was cardio. The next one I want to talk about tonight is strength training. And if I remember, there is, what was it, half of you are strength training. I'm so excited. Strength training, you can vary in a lot of different ways. You can vary the muscle groups. So maybe you've probably heard of arm day or leg day. So maybe today was arm day and you did shoulders and biceps and triceps. Well, tomorrow you might want to rest the upper body and do the lower body instead. So you might do calf raises and quadriceps and do squats and hamstrings with squats and maybe leg lifts, things like that. So you want to vary those muscle groups. You could also vary the speed. So sometimes you might do an exercise quick and then release it slowly because that's a different contraction. Or other days you might slowly do that hard phase of the exercise and quickly release. Just never ever go so quickly that you're popping at the joint. So always be sure of that. You could fuse muscle groups. You could stand and do a squat with a bicep curl at the same time. So that's a way to cross train and vary and work more body parts at a time. You could also vary the sequence. So if you always do biceps before triceps, you might want to do triceps before biceps because your body's getting used to that exercise. And the studies are showing that if we don't mix that up, your brain kind of expects what's going to happen and your muscles don't respond quite as well. And when we vary the sequence, research is also showing that by fatiguing muscles in a new order, you're requiring them to adapt to a new training stimulus. That's a great thing. And another thing with variation for your strength training, cross training, is to do it in a different position. So you might stand and do bicep curls sometimes, but then other times you might sit back and recline and do bicep curls there. It's the same muscle group, but other muscle groups are having to kick in to help you with that motion. So there are tons of creative ways to do your strength training. When I get Helen back up, I want her to do our third poll because I'm very curious about what kind of equipment you all are using. So for the 52% of you that are strength training, could you tell us what equipment you're using?
We have. The winner is hand weights and kettlebell, with 63% of the people are using hand weights, and people picked multiple things. So they're doing multiple things, but hand weights, 63%. Next up, it looks like their own body weight comes in, it's not 61%. And I see it doesn't all show on the screen. I don't know how to make it all show on the screen for you guys. The next one, 50% elastic bands. And let's see, what else do we have? 27% machines at the gym, 11% machines at home, and then 13%. And so that's pretty good stuff.
Excellent. All right, so I jotted those down. This is awesome. Okay, so everybody, I can tell by the numbers. I'm glad that you said how to pull up the poll because I could see what you were saying, which is great. Most of us are using body weights or body weight and free weights. That's great because those are probably the most versatile. Bands are great. So if you're part of the 50% that haven't used those yet, that's an expensive piece of equipment. You can get almost all the ones that you can buy come with at least a little bit of kind of a pamphlet of exercises that are just generally safe, which is a great way to get started. And for anybody out there that travels a lot, elastic bands go in any suitcase. You can even take them on an airplane. They are great. For those of you that are using machines, that is great as well. And I want to challenge you. Machines put us in a certain position, which is very, very safe. So that is a great thing. So as you feel confident in the machine, I would challenge you to take that same exercise out of the machine, maybe with either elastic bands or weights, and try to produce that same exercise, because then other parts of your body are going to kick in. They're going to understand, oh, that's that machine she normally does or he normally does. And they're trying to do it without the help of the machine. And that's good for your brain, and it's good for coordination and balance, which leads me right into the next component, which is perfect. So I love that poll, Helen. Thank you, because it really shows that people are doing different things. So you're already cross-training. So maybe the one equipment piece that you didn't check off because you're not using it, maybe that's your next step into that next level for your own progression. As you look into your next step in physical fitness. So if you didn't check a certain piece of equipment, maybe that's the next one on your Christmas list that your family can get for you. I've only got a few more minutes, so I want to quickly just talk about coordination and balance. And I'm actually going to put those two together because they kind of go hand in hand. They're both components where if you don't use it, you tend to lose it. But it's never too late to kind of dust it off and get it a little bit better. So on the coordination side of the house, you can just choose maybe some more complex. So instead of just jogging in place, you might change it up. And if you're in a space where you have enough room, that you could jog forward and backwards just a few steps, or maybe shuffle side to side. That just makes it a little more complex and causes your brain to kick in on the coordination side. You can also fuse cardio with strength training, and that helps your brain consider two different kinds of exercises at the same time. So maybe riding a stationary bicycle, not your bicycle outside, but your stationary bicycle, and maybe just hold a set of weights and do a little bit of a shoulder press. I wouldn't go too far because you've got to keep your balance on that stationary bike. But anything that can keep your heart rate up and yet continue. I think about putting a piece of elastic around the doorknob and close the door securely. You could march in place and do pullbacks with that elastic at the same time. So that's a lot of coordination because your brain is having to really process all of that at the same time. And then that leads right into the multitasking of muscle groups, maybe doing an arm exercise with the opposite knee lifting at the same time, things like that. So that's very good for our brains. And that keeps our brain functioning at a higher level for a long time as we get older and older. And so balance is something that also tests the coordination, but our vestibular system kicks in as soon as we start to do something that's off balance. So I'm sitting here in my office on a stability ball because that makes my brain think about the balance as I sit here and talk with you and talk with my hands, which I shouldn't do, but it makes it a little bit harder on my core to balance here. So you can add different things in your life. You could maybe lift one heel and almost stand on one leg while you're brushing your teeth. That would practice your balance, and that would kick in your vestibular system.
Hey,
You can
Amy,
put, yes.
one of the questions that we have is, what is like a balance exercise? They're looking for examples of what is balance exercise.
That's a fantastic question. Anything can be balanced that takes you away from your center of gravity. So I'm sitting on a stability ball. That's a balance exercise. I could stand, lift one heel off the ground, so I've got one foot flat and one toe, the other foot toes down. That's balance. If I lift that toe off the ground, which I'm doing even as I sit on my stability ball, my core is working very hard to balance. You could also, in a safe environment, even just stand, both feet on the ground. Maybe you've got a kitchen counter close by in front of you. Take your hands just slightly off the counter, close one eye. If you can keep your balance, and that seems easy to you, get your equilibrium back, raise both those hands, close both your eyes. So just little things like that, but always consider your safety first. So balance can be lots of different things. Anytime you stand on something that isn't as stable, so you could even be, maybe you just did a big walk down by the river. If you live near the river, you could walk in the grass that's unstable, and that works on your balance. And then once you stop moving, you could hold one leg and balance one leg. One of the challenges to balance, and I think it's even on your outline, is your vestibular system really kicks in when you go from moving your body repetitively, whether you're riding a bicycle, running, walking, swimming, and then suddenly you ask your body to stop in space. Your brain really has to think, oh my gosh, she's not moving anymore. What do I do here? And so your core actually kicks in. So for somebody who has pretty keen balance, you might not feel like that's challenging. But for some of us, if we've been propelling our bodies in one direction for a long time with our cardio exercise, once we stop and maybe close one eye or hold our arms up and balance on one leg, that is very, very challenging. And that kicks in your vestibular system. When we train that system to kick in, when we're just out walking and running our errands and we step off a curb, we've trained our vestibular system to recover quickly, and we're less likely to fall. And so that's a huge blessing as we get older. Really, for any of us, we could trip and fall at any time. So if we can train our vestibular system, it pays off in real life in addition to paying off when we're cross-training. That's a great question.
Thank you. I was going to say vestibular system. That's a new one. I'm sure I learned it when I got certified, but I'm like, okay, that's a big word for us. So it has to do with us balancing. The other balance thing that I like to do, like you said, like holding on the counter, is just raising up on my toes. Just doing a foot raise and raising up and then trying to let go of the counter. I can let go now, but at the beginning there was no letting go. I felt like I was going to fall. And of course you can just sit back down on your feet, but that's
no, Helen, that's great. Because really, because we need to come up onto our toes when we walk. So that's how God made us. We propel that way. But for somebody that's really struggling with balance, even to just go that single leg into a gait pattern, training at your kitchen counter, like Helen was saying, and picking up both heels and just balancing on the balls of your feet, that midfoot, that's a great exercise. And it's good lower body strengthening as well, which is great for circulation. And we could talk about that all night. But that's great. So as we train the vestibular system, we're going to be safer in our normal dynamic movements. Real quick, I want to hit Pilates and flexibility. We want to always just vary positions in that training. So for anybody that is focusing more, you've really feeling like you've got your cardiovascular, you've got your balance, you've got your strength training, but you're beginning to feel tight and you've got some joints that aren't moving quite like they used to. It's important that you focus on Pilates training is a great method for strength and flexibility, but then also focusing just on pure flexibility, just running through all those major muscle groups and stretches. You can get those from books and online, and Body and Soul, and probably some First Place for Health, Wellness, the fitness book. So just to get to know those positions, but you want to vary the position. So sometimes lying down, or maybe sometimes seated or standing stretches. Adding equipment, maybe even elastic. One I love is to put elastic around the middle of my foot and then press that foot out and get a good stretch in the back of my leg. That's a great one for the hamstring. And also vary the sequence of your stretches. So don't always stretch from head to toe. Maybe some days you want to stretch toes to head, left to right. And just again, it just mixes it up for the brain, which is great. And one thing I want to come back to that I didn't give you the exact weeks, but studies show that our physiological systems, muscular, even skeletal, even our vestibular system, they tend to adapt within 6 to 8 weeks if we don't vary our exercise. So we tend to plateau, whether that's stop losing weight and we start to plateau in weight, or maybe we're not feeling those strength gains, or we're not feeling more flexible than we were 2 weeks ago. So we need to adapt our exercise through cross training, because our bodies really will adapt in about 6 to 8 weeks. So I wanted to make sure that we hit that tonight as well. So
Yeah.
do the same thing. I know for me, I like to start folks with even just an A and a B exercise. If you think, okay, all I can handle is exercise A and exercise B. And maybe this one has, A has biking, and then you do some core work and some balance training and some upper body strength training. That's fantastic. Then create a B workout that maybe is a walk jog mixture with some planks and push-ups and squats on a bench, and so that you do, A on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and you do B on Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and you rest on Sunday. So I like, if somebody's looking for that next step, maybe just an A workout and a B workout, and deal with those for a while, and then begin to work on a C and a D as you feel more comfortable and discover those things that you love. One last thing I want to cover quickly, Helen, if I've got time. One question I get a lot as a trainer is, should I do cardio first or strength training first? And the answer is, it depends. It depends what your goals are. And so you're going to see a slide with a lot of words. And Helen, any attendees that want this PowerPoint, if it's okay with you, it's absolutely fine with me. I'm glad to share it.
Sure.
I can send you the bibliography that goes with it, so we can give credit to everybody whose credit is due, because there's a lot of words on here, but just depending on where you fall in that left-hand column. Maybe you're looking for, you're training for a triathlon and you're looking for a performance goal. You're going to do your cardio first. But somebody else here might just be looking, I really just want to improve my strength. Well, you should do strength first. If you're looking to lose weight, strength first. So you can read there on the left. So see where you fall into, and do remember what you fall into as far as the question category tonight might not be what you fall into 6 weeks from now. So again, you really want to mix those up. But from our visit today, together, you think, oh, this is really the direction I'm going to go. This is the next step for me personally in fitness. Whatever that question pertains to you, then do that for a couple of weeks in the answer column. So if it's to improve your lean mass and lose some weight, do your strength training first for the next couple of weeks, and then save your cardio. And because that applies to a lot of people, I want to give you the reason just for that one, and then we'll open it up for questions and get you out of here on time. But because so many of us fall into the get leaner, lose weight, and or improve our strength, the studies are showing that if we do our strength training first, which for some of us, you remember at the beginning, talked about it's kind of scary, it seems a little more serious, but I can get my heart rate up by myself. The strength training, we focus more in the beginning of our workout. We have greater body awareness because we're really focused on it, and we're also fresher physically. So the studies are showing if you do your strength training first, you have more energy, you're more focused, so you're actually doing a better, if I can use that word, a better workout. And then when we're fatigued and somewhat spent, we turn the page and begin our cardio, which a lot of us find is more fun. And I think it was 52%, no, 70% of you all are doing cardio already. So then, even though you're tired, the music kicks in, or you begin that run down by the water that inspires you, and suddenly you work a lot harder than you expected. So you are able to get the strength training out of the way, if you will, while you were fresher, and then you do your cardio, which brings you maybe a little more joy. And so the studies are showing that those exercisers are burning more calories. They're adhering to their exercise program because they're ending on a high, if I can use that word. So the endorphins have kicked in. They're happier. They feel relieved, and their passion bucket is full. So that may speak to a lot of you all out there, because it sounds like most of us are doing cardio, half of us are doing strength training with a nice variety. So if you haven't tried it, maybe try your strength training first for a little while and see if you feel that response where you feel like you're getting even a better workout by doing your strength training first.
All right. That sounds good. Well, we have a bunch of questions, so that's not a surprise, which is good. So I have to uncancel your, so I wanted to show you guys Mary Ward, who is the vice president of Body and Soul Fitness, but also as a board member for First Place. And she wrote our My Place for Fitness. And if you look in there, there are two, she covers cardio, she covers strength training, and she covers flexibility and balance training. And she covers everything in fitness. The strength training one, though, I always like to share, it was something that I got into later, and I wish I had gotten into sooner. And in my groups, I'm always encouraging people to get into strength training for the very reason it helps you burn more calories and get stronger, and hence it helps with weight loss, which, let's face it, that's what I came to First Place, and that's what I came to exercise for. And it really helps us maintain the weight that we've lost. That's another important thing. But the strength training, she has strength training 1-on-1, and she goes into great detail on strength training you can do right now, which I love. But we have a bunch of questions, so let's get to them. What other kind of cardio can they do besides walking? So,
great questions. And I actually want to speak to both of those because I love those. Because walking is great. It's easy, it's available to all of us and doesn't take a lot of skill. And we talked about that at the beginning, but even change the way you walk. So instead of just walking what feels normal, so what I mean is, maybe either the speed or the stride length. So maybe increase your speed and take smaller steps. So it's more of a race walking sometimes. And that means you're going to have to contract the abdominals as well as your glutes and really stand tall and think more about kind of tight from the inside out. But also you could even slow the pace, which I know sounds crazy, and lengthen your stride so it's more work on your hips, and you actually get the obliques, which are your muscles along your ribs and your sides at your waist. So they're having to work more to stabilize. So don't overlook walking in different ways, because you could walk faster, slower, hills, flat lands, things like that. And then as you're looking for different things, well, let me add another. You could even lift the knee up, almost like you're stepping over something. So that'll change. That brings the hip flexors and the abdominals into it. So as you're stepping up, but also find steps. Steps are great, and it's a functional exercise, and it's very much cardiovascular because it increases the workload, the cardiac output. So if you could walk up and down stairs as well, I know depending on your laundry, you're doing a lot already maybe, but if you can stand it, do a few more low, back and forth up and down the stairs. So you can mix up the walking. But if you've got an open space, instead of just walking forward, walk backwards if it's safe, shuffle side to side. One I love for shuffling side to side is to do a mini squat. So bend down just a little bit with just the lower body. Keep your upper body up. And do your side stepping. You could even add elastic to your lower legs, and walk side to side, shuffle side to side. And again, they can be fast or they can be slow, small strides, long strides, just really anything. If you don't really love walking, bicycle. If it's not, you're somewhere where it's snowing, stationary bike, an elliptical if you like machines. It's just really a matter of finding that thing that you'll do, because remember, success comes in doing it again. I know that sometimes if the weather's terrible here, I'll just be at the bottom of my steps and do step ups for a while. And sometimes I might do jump ups or, running just on that bottom step, just one after another after another.
Thank you, Amy. So let's go to our next question. How much time do we need to warm up and cool down? And what other activities should we do? So 2 questions there.
Warm up, cool down, it kind of depends. If you're going to do a long workout, say 60 minutes, 50, 60 minutes, you probably want to warm up 3 to 5. And you want to cool down probably 3 to 5. So you need to be the judge of that. So when you feel like you're warm enough, you're probably warm enough. As you cool down, you want to feel like that your blood pressure and your temperature and everything is settled down a little bit. And those can be anything. They can just be walking. They can be riding a bike with no, if it's a stationary, no resistance. It could be lifting the laundry a few times, just warming up. I mean, really, a warm up could be anything at all that begins to get your body moving. And it might just be a flight up and down the stairs 2 times, and then you take off for your jog.
Yeah, great. Another question just flew in, said they're confused. Are we recommending cardio and strength training on the same day or alternating? And I heard both. I will tell it. That's what I heard. I do both. Some days, if I'm doing strength training, I'll do cardio for a little while to get my body warmed up, because I learned you shouldn't strength train until you're warmed up. Other times, so that answers. But Body and Soul has a thing called Fit 360, is one of the things that I'm certified to do, and that includes both strength training and cardio. It happens all in the same workout, and so you're doing both. And I like to go back and forth, and so that's good. But
Exactly.
Do you have anything else to add to that, Amy, as far as?
Yeah, I want to speak to you because I want to make sure nobody's confused. And I said it earlier, the great thing is the sky's the limit, but the tough thing is the sky's the limit. So if you want to focus on cardio one day, fabulous. Get your warm up, your cool down, stretch out, move on with your day. And then you do your strength training on the next day, or maybe you put that with coordination and strength training. But then other people, like for me, once I get sweaty, if I've got the time, I'd rather get strength training and all those components in one workout. But other days I just don't have the time. So I might do a warm up. I might do strength training for my legs on Tuesday, where I come up and down the stairs a dozen times to get warmed up, and then do my squats and leg lifts and things like that. And that might be all I get that day, but it means the next day I probably need to focus on cardio a little bit. So you kind of want to share the love in there. You want to do a different workout, whatever you have time for. And you want to fit in those components, but not necessarily all 5 components every day, because most of us just don't have that kind of time.
All right. We are going to email you guys this presentation as a PDF. I'll create it and I'll put the bibliography that Amy's going to send, and that'll be in the link that you'll get in the email. And when it's on the YouTube, because some of you will be watching this on YouTube, I will put the link on the YouTube, so you'll have to go look in the notes. So our last question has to do with Body and Soul. Some of us that are in Body and Soul, we know it's so Body and Soul is going to add a new offering called On Demand. So Amy, give us a 1-minute, what is On Demand Body and Soul, and when is it going to be available? I know you don't, you just tell us.
I'm so excited that you asked that, and you're right. I don't know exactly when it's coming, but Body and Soul's brand new program we're in the process of developing is on demand, which means if you live in a city that unfortunately does not have a Body and Soul class today, you will be able to subscribe online to workouts that have all these components in it of all of our programs. We've got cardio, strength training, Fit 360, Gold, Longevity, Fit 360, Dance Blast, Power, Strength. All our programs are going to have a few online workouts that you can subscribe to. For just a monthly fee, you can do them as many times as you want to. And our prayer is that if you don't have a Body and Soul class in your city, that you will fall in love with doing Body and Soul. It will be working for you. It's part of that cross training we talked about, and it's one of those elements you want as part of your fitness training, fitness, physical and spiritual. And then you'll get in touch with us and say, I need a class in my city. So we're going to come and do a demonstration class, so you can not only have online Body and Soul, you can have a real live class of Body and Soul in your city, that you could also have a First Place for Health Bible study hook to. So it means you can take us on vacation with you, because you can watch it on any device and do your exercises with Body and Soul Fitness online. And that is coming, I don't know when, pray, but absolutely in 2020, and we're hoping it is early in the year 2020.
Amen. Well, Amy, I'm so glad you were here with us. Thank you so much for your time, your expertise. I always learn something new from you, and that's a good thing. For those of you joining that don't know about First Place for Health, well, welcome. We are a Christian, Bible-based weight loss, and it is done in small groups. We have virtual groups, and we encourage you to be well in all sides, mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually. So thank you all. We will be, this is recorded. This will be, you'll get a link to it if you registered and attended live. I'll send you a link so you can watch it again. And then everyone else will be able to watch it on YouTube. It'll be up. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and you'll be able to see ours whenever again. So thank you, everybody. Have a great time and we'll see you next month.